Hey, Coach. You mentioned just identifying those areas of places you need to improve and then, addressing them during the bye week. Is there any of those areas where you saw the team take a noticeable step forward, or just any area you were just impressed with the progress they made?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, efficiency on offense felt like we had answered the bell there in the Marshall game, and then took a step back, in the Duke game with just self-inflicted things, and pre-snap or post-snap, whether it's a false start or a holding penalty. Those were issues that did a great job the 3 days we went out on the field and worked. Making routine plays routine. Crazy thing about the Duke game is we caught the ball at the best. We chart everything, targets, drops, drop rate, all the things that you can collectively put together. And that was our best week on the season, throwing and catching the ball. And so, I think the guys just got to cut it loose over there and in practice, working on the different things on the line of scrimmage, O-line, tight ends, running backs, the timing. But the bottom line is, it's executing. And I think, score 48 points 2 weeks ago and do that. And a week later, it takes you 7 drives to have a drive without a penalty or a drop. It's pretty obvious when you come out of a game like that, what you got to do. And I think defensively, you start to press when you're not getting points, and then you start trying to do someone else's job, and inevitably you give up a big play. And so I think it's everybody just, locking in on the little things at each spot that they can do better, and collectively getting better by individually getting better. And I think that's the thing that we're focusing on. That's, again, going back to our one more. If I'm playing left guard or right tackle, left tackle, whatever it is, there's a part of my game over 7 games of study that you look at and say, you know what? This is an area that's reoccurring that I have to fix. And so you go to work on that. And that's what I'm asking each guy to do. And so I know that doesn't answer your question, but that's what we're doing. It's about being efficient through 11-man football and each guy doing his job just a little bit better.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Jaden?
Hey, I saw Timothy McCay this weekend with his left hand wrapped up. How's he doing? And can you kind of talk about the decision to move him on the depth chart from right tackle?
Yeah, no, all these guys at this point in time, I shouldn't say all, many of these guys at this point in time have a thing here or a thing there. And so he practiced yesterday, but like many offensive linemen, you go through some things sometimes with a hand or a finger, and Tim's no different. We've played him at guard some this year and at tackle. And, again, just going through the games that we have, I feel like Ja'Carrius Peak has really strained and fought, and gives us an opportunity to get Tim inside some, which when you look at what we're blocking on the line of scrimmage, we want to get an opportunity with him to match up with these really good defensive tackles too. But we will rotate at different spots. And, by any means, is there a final end all be all with any of these positions? No, but coming out of the 7 games, felt like that was an opportunity for us to get Peak, a guy that's really straining and fighting and bringing great energy on the field, and allow Tim to match up inside with some guys. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him back at tackle throughout the game as well.
Corey?
Dave, obviously a tough game for you guys last game out. We haven't had a chance to talk to you really since then, but what has been the response from guys like MJ Morris and the entire rest of the offense after that performance, and what have you seen from them going into this week?
Well, I mean, they were embarrassed after that game. I think, there was a lot of heartfelt conversations about stepping up, and guys owning what they need to do better. I think, leadership starts with ownership. And like I said, after the game, it starts with me and then my coaches and my players and this team. And I think that happened. I think the guys on offense had some really good conversations about what they need to do and how to go play for each other better. And really, I think when you're playing like that, I call it playing not to lose instead of playing to win. There's just a little hesitation. You got to cut it loose in this sport to play well. I mean, you got to let it go. And so, if you make a mistake, make it 100 miles an hour and then learn from and move forward. And I think that's part of what's going on. And, MJ's done a nice job speaking to those guys. Dylan McMahon has done a nice job, in that role as far as that. And I look forward to the response. I think that's one thing as a coach, that you hope for, is that they'll just keep fighting. And this team has never shown that it won't.
James,
Yeah, Dave, Anthony Smith received his first extended action against Duke, was able to get behind the defense a couple times, unable to connect with them. But what did you see from him in practice and kind of maybe what he can give you moving forward?
Yeah, Anthony came out of fall camp and just really wasn't playing fast, and he's a fast kid. And I think there was just a lot of things going on. We put him on the scout team, told him to go down there and just work and get better and get back to being who we thought he could be. And to his credit, he did that. He rolled his sleeves up. He went down and really competed hard against our defense every day. And over time, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, he just started being consistent and playing with more confidence, and got him on a couple special teams, and he started to show that confidence and physicality there. And then on offense during the week, Joker brought him up and he was getting behind people. He was making plays again, the guy that we thought we would have. And so I'm proud of Anthony. He's really worked hard. He hasn't given up on himself. And because of that, he was rewarded, with the playing time. And you're right, he did get behind him, almost made a great catch. And I look to hopefully seeing him continue down this road. He's really had a good mindset the last month.
Brett,
Dave, you've spoken about the physical aspects of the open date, but I'm kind of wondering, how important is it from the standpoint, especially coming off a game like the Duke game, to just be able to step away and kind of mentally recharge and start over here with a fresh start?
Yeah, no, it is important, Brett. I think, the reset is real. You can get really hung up in 7 games, and here's where we're at, and the good, the bad, the ugly. And, but what you have left is 5 games, and that's where the focus has to switch. And so giving those guys enough time to, if they can, go home, but just to get away and really contemplate their body of work and what do they want the next 5 to look like. And I think that's the most important question. It's not what the last 7 were. You want to identify the things you want to improve and then create that mental picture of what you want the next 5 to be, and just take it one at a time and do everything you can to win the next game, and I think that's the focus of this team right now. And by the energy and the enthusiasm and the presence of the guys yesterday in the building, I would say that the guys came back feeling good.
Thanks, Dave. Good luck this week.
Yeah, you bet.
Brian Murphy,
Thanks. Coach, I wondered, we've heard a lot about sign stealing here in the last week or so. I wonder how big of an issue you think it is in football, what kind of steps you take to protect that stuff, and what you'd like to see maybe the NCAA move to in the future.
Yeah, well, it happens, I think that's just part of the game right now, to be honest. Like all these no huddle offenses, when you're not huddling, there's a lot of signaling going on, and defenses have always had to signal. I don't know what the NCAA can do to answer your question about this. I think as long as there's going to be signals from the sideline, there's going to be people trying to decipher what they mean. I know that is frowned upon, but man, you see it everywhere, and you hear about it from the NFL all the way down through college. And how do you get rid of it? I guess the headset communication would be a possible way moving forward. It's either that or, you're always on wristbands where guys, you can change those every half and every quarter or whatever you want to do so that people can't get a beat on you. But it's been an issue for a long time. Obviously, it's a headline now because of the investigation at Michigan, but I just kind of look at it as part of the game, Brian, to be honest. So, for us, we got screens, we got dummy signalers, we got live signalers, we change who they are throughout the game. You try to have as many different things as you can for what is the signal and what is a fake signal. And, you just try to do the best you can with that for the guys, and then you change your signals up, so that they're not the same every week and guys can't try to call people and figure out what they are on you. But it is a reality in football, and, maybe it'll change when they give us the electronic communication piece. I know that's on the table to be discussed after the season.
2 quick follow-ups. Do you think anyone's gotten your signals at some point? And
Oh,
2,
sure. Yeah,
you think they should go to those, the in-headset communication?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, people get your signals. I mean, it happens all the time, and that's just part of the deal. And so what do? Like I said, we try to change it up as much as we can and use different means. And there's some games where I feel like they didn't have them. Some games where you think, yeah, they probably knew what a couple of these plays were, and that's just part of it.
JC,
For most of your coaching career, you didn't have the current redshirt rules. And I know you've always had different sessions on Thursdays over the years to work with redshirt players. Do you approach, the next 5 games a little differently, knowing that you have some players who have 4 games to play with?
Well, yeah, I mean, each week we'll look at who's got how many games under their belt, so that we're cognizant of that going into the next game, from a special team standpoint. For example, we used Isaiah Shirley in his first game last week, rushing punts, trying to get a bigger body in the A gaps, doing that. So we know we've used one of his games. But you do have those conversations. We still have the developmental work on Fridays when we can with the guys, not on Thursdays, but that's something we still do at the end of practice on Fridays. And I think this is maybe the 3rd year of this rule. And so try to stay on top of it where you're at and communicate with the players when you can about it.
Noah,
Hey, coach, you talked about, the offensive line and kind of not being set in stone. What kind of went into moving Lyndon Cooper, down the depth chart? And do you see him kind of being a guy you can still rotate in and get him out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Coop is going to play. He's going to play at guard and possibly play at center. He's got a bright future here. Again, looking at the body of work for not just him, but other guys. It's trying to give some guys an opportunity to compete that have shown that they deserve that opportunity as well. And fully expect Coop to compete his butt off and try to win his job back. And he might by the end of the week. You don't know that, but we're asked to put out a depth chart on Monday. We don't play till Saturday. And so, going off of a game where he had 3 penalties in the first half, getting guys in that are playing a little bit more without that, it's kind of the mindset there. And doesn't mean we're giving up on him at all. No, I mean, I'm excited to work with him every day and help him continue to get better. And he's gone in there and played really well at times for us, so you'll continue to see him out there. And if he's the competitor that I know he is, he'll compete super hard to win that job back.
JC,
Does it help at all when you don't have a game on a Saturday that you can maybe see what other programs are doing or watch other games or watch a little bit more NFL than normal just because it's a different weekend?
Yeah, I think anytime you get a study, put yourself on the sideline, not being in the game and watch, and it's good. Also just see some creative ideas that are happening or learn from mistakes that you see other teams have. And obviously there was a lot of talk about some end of game things that have happened this year in college football. And so there's a great teachable moments for your team too. Whenever you see another team do something good or not good, it gives you a chance to show those. We do that on Friday mornings with our team, showing them plays to learn from in college and pro sports. So those, moment of truth type things are thought out ahead of time. But yeah, I think it's a great time, especially when it happens, 7 games. I think it's the latest bye week we've had since I've been here in the 8th week of the season. And so they were ready for a break. I mean, you take all the fall camp all the way through 7 games. That was a lot of consecutive work there. So I think staff and player alike is a good time to have that reset.
Ethan,
Coach, Peyton Wilson after the Duke game called for, the defense to play with more toughness. Just how has the team kind of answered that call and responded to that message in the past 8 days?
Yeah, and I think toughness is multiple things, right? First thing you think about is the physicality piece, and then you have your mental toughness and your emotional toughness. And I think all 3 of those are things that we need to be better at. When you're beating yourself with penalties and drops, there's a lot that goes into that. It's not that we're not good enough. We have to be more focused, finish catches with your eyes, see the ball touch your fingertips, the basics, and believe. You have to have great confidence on the field when you step out there. And like I tell them, I wouldn't put you on the field if I didn't believe in you. And so I think there's a lot to that. You know, you're catching a player after a loss, an emotional loss, and he's giving you his guts right there, right? We need to play harder because that's what that guy does. He plays so hard, and he's right. You know, this football team needs to go exhibit that, leave it all on the field mentality that Peyton possesses, and that, you know, as a coach, you just stand back and watch and really in awe of how hard he plays.